Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at one of the free-to-play EZAs that has come to DBZ Dokkan Global in the form of the Inorganic Bloodlust Hell Fighter 17. Now he is a artificial life forms lead of Ki +3, HP attack and defense at 77%, or AGL type Ki +3, HP attack and defense of 50%. He lowers the super attack lowers the attack and defense of the enemy with his super attack and seals their super attack. He has attack and defense of 150% with an additional defense of 100% as a second or third attacker in the turn. He has a high chance of evading the enemy's attack, including super attack, with an additional chance of evading the enemy's attack plus 17% for 3 turns from the character's entry turn, meaning for the first 2 times that he's out, he has 67% evasion. He has an additional attack and defense of 20% up to 80% with each attack evaded, an additional attack of 100% when performing a super attack, Ki +2, and launches an additional attack that has a medium chance of becoming a super attack starting from the 4th turn from his entry. He has Android Assault, Fear and Faith, Brutal Beatdown, Nightmare, Shocking Speed, GT, and Sharing the Limit, and he is on the Androids, Artificial Life Forms, and Target Goku categories. Now, he is pretty good. I honestly actually quite like him a lot. So there's a couple of things I really like about him. Firstly, 67% evasion for the first 3 turns is very, very powerful. The first 2 appearances that he appears at, he's going to have a very solid level of evasion. It's going to make him quite sound defensively. He does need to evade though, so you can't go into events where evasion is disabled because he needs to evade to build up his attack and defense. If you don't have him perform any evasion, his attack and defense isn't very impressive. Once fully built up though, his start of turn defense is almost 300k, and he gains 100% defense when he's the 2nd or 3rd attacker, which means his defense can be almost 400k, which is very, very good. Couple that with the fact that he'll be doing around 5.5 million in attack stat is very impressive, and the fact that from his links he gets Ki +2 and defense at 20%, Fear and Faith gives him 2 Ki, he gets an additional 10% from GT, and he gets an additional 5% from Shocking Speed, plus he shares all 3 of those links with the Strength GT bosses, or Strength Super 17. I think he's pretty good. Honestly, I like him a lot. His synergy with both AGL Super 17 and Strength Super 17 is quite good. He can act as a pseudo tank with his evasion. In terms of build, I would definitely build him crit and evasion, or crit and additional is fine. Generally speaking, evasion is not like a huge thing for him. If you give him evasion, what it will eventually do basically is allow him to have over 60% evasion for the majority of the fight. So good stuff in general, but obviously as a unit, generally speaking, what I would say is probably crit first and then additionals. But crit and evasion is fine actually. I think it's all good. The evasion will kind of give him a little bit of a top up on his 50%, and if you give him enough crit, then he'll still do some decent damage with a couple of those super attacks. So I think overall pretty good. Considering how strong his link set is, this guy can very easily get up to like, probably 6 mil in attack stats, which is very, very good, incredibly solid. So I definitely think he's an incredibly powerful and quite solid unit. I just think, there's definitely, how can I say, I think there's definitely a very strong kind of like synergy he has with his current team. Like, I think he works nicely on the Target Goku team. He's good for that 2nd, 3rd slot, which is good. And yeah, for a free-to-play unit, he hits some impressive numbers. So I definitely think he's there or thereabouts. The big thing is his link set is pretty good. So any kind of Super 17 Hell Fighter duo type of unit is basically going to share a lot of great links with him. The only real shame is because he's a Hell Fighter 17, he's not on GT bosses, because for whatever reason they just don't have Hell Fighter 17 on GT bosses. I don't know why. But he's good, and there's not a lot of restrictions to him. It's just positional restrictions, so you can run him on all 3 of his teams at least, which is something nice. In terms of links, primary links would be Android Assault and GT if you can get them, because obviously that gives a very sizable defensive boost of over 30%. But key link wise, you can go with anything: Shocking Speed, Chatting the Limit, GT. All three are very viable, GT being his best by a country mile. Fear and Faith, Brutal Beatdown and Nightmare are all fairly common across the extreme type of enemies, especially with Fear and Faith being a decent key link, so this guy doesn't have any problems linking up with units to share some key. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he's nice. I actually think he's a very well done free-to-play unit. I think he's good and provides an augmented option for the GT, well, for that kind of target Goku, GT, androids kind of team. And I think he's a nice option to have on that team. Obviously, he's not necessarily the best Hell Fighter 17 in the game, but I'm genuinely impressed with what he can put out. Numbers-wise, to be able to, with link leveling and a bit more kind of investment, being able to hit 6 million as an attack stat, and in general just have a relatively high defensive stat along with that evasion stat is pretty good. Only big thing is obviously how he starts, but beyond that, he's really good. That's it from me. Bye.